Oil can be the next silver in 2026, going up more than 50%. In 2025, silver went up 160%, gold 70%, and some AI stocks went up as much as 200% or more. Are they going to continue in 2026? Or something else is going to pop up to be the next new silver? Spoiler alert, I favor one of the commodities which I think would go up a lot in 2026. I'll explain to you more later in the video. If this is the first time you're here, my name is Eric. I've been investing since I was 18 years old for more than 22 years in all kinds of instruments: stocks, mutual funds, bonds, warrants, options, physical gold, physical silver, watches, you name it. In this channel, I will share analysis of investment opportunities and ideas on personal finance. Subscribe so that you're not going to miss out. Disclaimer, this is not financial advice, for education purposes only. Let's start with macro. Two parts: economy and geopolitics. Economy, there are two parts as well. First of all, interest rate. Secondly, GDP or economy in general. The growth in China is obviously slowing down because of the bubbles being burst in real estate, and export is going down because Europe is not doing very well. And then vice versa, Europe is not doing very well because they also export less to China. And the US is kind of doing okay. So that's why the stock market is lacking direction a little bit because of the general economy. However, the second part, interest rate is likely to go down in the US, partly due to Trump, partly due to the economy. So that would have two major implications. First one, bond price would go up. Second part, commodities including silver, gold, oil, and even S&P 500. So in short, when people buy less USD's exchange rate goes down, and in general, all other assets would worth more. For example, even crypto. The second macro topic is geopolitics, which have the biggest impact on our investment in 2026. I'm going to list 4 countries, starting from the one that will have the biggest impact on our investment and the most likely to happen in 2026 first. Number 1, Iran, which will have a massive impact on our investments. Well, first of all, as you know, protesters are protesting in Iran all over the country, so this might topple the regime. And Trump already explicitly mentioned that he might intervene if the regime suppressed protest violently, which is very likely to happen. Given the history, only a few months ago, Trump actually bombed the nuclear facilities of Iran. It is very likely to happen that he will intervene. The impact of US attacking Iran would be enormous. We're talking about the oil price would go up a lot because Iran first of all controls the Gulf of Hormuz, which 20% of the oil in the world flows through tankers. And they also have the third highest reserve of oil in the world. So the oil price would definitely shoot up. And gold and silver would also shoot up too, especially gold, because everyone would be so worried if there's a war in the Middle East, which would have a great impact not just on oil, but the economy in general. The second country is Venezuela. As you know, the whole world caught by surprise when their president were being arrested overnight and detained back to the US. So there are certain uncertainties with what will go on next. If the country becomes unstable, given that they have the highest oil reserve in the world, around 18 to 90% to be precise, this might have an impact on the oil price and also on gold and silver. But the impact won't be as bad as Iran because they do not produce that much oil at the moment. Do you guys think that gold and silver would rise a lot like in 2025 this year? Leave me in the comments below. Country number 3, China/Taiwan. As you know, the tension is going up a lot in the past 2 years. Some people said that China might actually attack in 2027. Well, hopefully not. But in any case, I think the chance in 2026 is low. But if it does happen, the impact would be absolutely massive. We're talking about World War III, literally. And the impact on gold and silver would be that they are shooting up a lot. Absolutely crazy. And I think S&P 500 and stock markets would tumble. The only bright side, so to say, is that defense industry would go up. So we should have a list, which I will share with you later in different videos, which kind of defense companies you should immediately buy in if this unfortunately happens, which I hope not. Country number 4, last but not least, Ukraine and Russia. Well, unfortunately, they are still fighting, but I think peace is getting near. So I think the chance of the peace being achieved is very high, I would say 70%. However, the impact to our investment I think is pretty low in the short term. So maybe commodities like wheat, the price would go down, but that's it. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that from the investment point of view. Let's deep dive into micro topics. 3 of them. First of all, oil. Second, gold/silver. Last of them, AI/tech stocks. Let's start with oil, which I think is the highest probability to shoot up a lot. The first micro factors is oil, which I think it would go up a lot this year, for 3 reasons. First, if Iran fights with the US or become unstable, this would shoot up the price a lot. Secondly, interest rates in the US are most likely to go down, which means US dollars would worth less and oil price would go up relative to US dollar. The third reason is that it has been underperforming the market a lot in 2025. So it went up 15% in 1 year, while S&P 500 went up 16%, a 30% difference to catch up. So I think oil is very likely to go up in 2026. The second micro factor is silver/gold. So let's talk about silver first. It went up 160% in 2025. I would not buy it now in 2026 for a number of reasons. First of all, it was just catching up and people say, okay, this is the cheaper version of gold, I should catch up, and also industry uses silver for solar panel, for EVs, etc., etc. And they also said that, okay, silver is just a byproduct in the mining process of gold mine or other mines. So the catch up is not fast enough for the demand, but there are a number of risks. So as I mentioned, they already went up a lot. Secondly, industry can just shift their focus and use other metals instead if it's too expensive. Plus, this is a relatively small market, easy to manipulate. It could rise a lot and also drop a lot very fast. Last but not least, this kind of so-called demand and supply imbalance would be matched by the fact that there's a huge amount of inventory of silver. So silver I will not touch in 2026. Gold maybe a tiny bit as I expect it to continue to go forward, but I will not buy too much. Okay, number 3 is AI/semiconductor tech stocks. Well, I'm afraid we already talked a lot today, we don't have enough time. I probably need to make separate videos to talk about this topic. So subscribe so that you're not going to miss out. So to wrap it up, 2026, I will buy in a number of assets. Number 1 is oil, because Iran might fight with US. If there's a conflict, it will shoot up a lot. And then also interest rate reduction, USD might go down, which oil in comparison would go up. Plus, it has been undervalued or much behind the market in 2025. For gold, I think that it still go up a little bit because of the conflicts in Iran and maybe Taiwan, hopefully not. So I think it will still go up, but I don't think it will go up a lot. For silver, I will avoid it for the reasons I already mentioned. I think it will not go up further too much. It's a bit risky. What do you think about it? Remember to subscribe so that you're not going to miss out the next analysis. Leave in comments below and like. See you next time.